All right. Hey guys, it's Tarita. I am a professional life and business coach, and today we are going to be talking about how to have a carefrontation, which is not a confrontation, because what I'm noticing is that people are going to work being really aggressive with the feedback, making it super personal, and that's not serving. So we want to slow this whole thing down, all right? So what I often see is that people are reluctant to give feedback in a clear, neutral, concise manner. One, because they don't know how. And two, because they are concerned about the emotionality of the other person, but they're also concerned about the emotion that's going to arise within us. And you know this is you if you're a person who says, well, I want to tell them, but they can't handle it. What that really means is you can't handle it, my dear. So I'm going to help you kind of clean all that up. So what we want to do is we want to provide someone with clear direction that is concise, that's to the point, but also loving. And that's I'm using that word in particular because, and I want to be clear, I'm not saying, oh, let's make it frou and super this or super that or oh, such goodness, right? Let's sprinkle it everywhere. No, what I'm saying is that you can provide someone feedback coming from a place of love and support that's also in service. And what I'm also noticing is that people don't really know what service is. Service is giving someone what they need without being tied to the outcome, right? While what I'm noticing is that people are giving feedback in a way that is very sticky. Sometimes it can come across overly aggressive, or they just aren't telling people what they actually need to hear because they're so concerned with how the person's going to feel. And what they're really saying is, Tarita, putting this out in the world is making me feel so uncomfortable. So instead of working with my own discomfort, I'm going out and I'm softening my message, or I am caretaking, or I am smoothing it over because I can't handle it. And I'm here to tell you that you can handle it. You just need some practice. All right. So the first thing is that you want to tell the person what you're observing. And it's just an observation. And let's give a scenario. Let's say that you have an employee who has made a mistake, and it's happened on a number of different occasions. I may say, and let's just use someone's name, Mike. So I may say, hey, Mike, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to send an email. I'm going to forecast. I'm not just going to call somebody up and just lay it on them, because we do that way too much. We just sort of spring stuff on people without laying a foundation. So the first thing you want to do is you want to start to forecast. So that's really telling someone what they can expect. So I may send a note and say, dear Mike, I have some feedback for you about ways that I think that you can improve. Let's set aside some time to talk about this. Here are some options. Come with some ideas. You can say that. You can say, hey, I want to put some time in your calendar to talk through ways that we can really start to operationalize how you're working. I have some insight for you. Right? So now Mike knows this is what we're talking about. It doesn't have to be this sticky situation, but he also knows that he needs to come with something to talk about too. So that's the first thing, forecasting. The second thing I would do is I would tell him what I observed. So I would say, you know, Mike, what I'm noticing is that when I give you work or assignments, you aren't following through. And it seems as if you're telling me one thing, but the output is something totally different. Do you see that? So what I've just done is I've been really clear about what I'm noticing, right? And then I ask him what he sees, because we always want to get it from someone else's perspective. Does he notice that he's doing this? Has this been something that he's aware of? If he says, hey, you know, actually I did notice that, and blah, 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 blah. That's where you can start to dig deeper. You can start to ask higher level questions. You can start to say, so tell me more about that. What's showing up inside of you when that happens? This is where you can start to coach the employee. Now, if he says, no, I hadn't noticed that, and he gives you excuses, because sometimes that happens, I would replay it back. And I would say, so here's what I'm noticing, and here's how it's impacting the business. Moving forward, I want to make a request that in the event that something isn't working out for you, or that you can't finish a project, that you tell me as soon as possible. because what I don't want is that our trust to diminish because you can't keep your word. Now, for some of us, we might feel like, wow, Tarita, that was really direct. You just told someone they weren't keeping their word. Well, yes, because they weren't. And we want to be leaders who can talk straight to people and tell them ways in which they're getting in their own way. Most importantly, the company, whoever you're working for, is paying you to do just that. And it does not serve if you cannot, if that's not something you can deliver on. And I will also say this has taken years of practice. And that's one thing you want to start doing. You have to practice. You have to start slowing it down. You have to start practicing giving people feedback in a way that's loving and supportive and articulates what you see. And comes with a request. So moving forward, Michael, here's what I would like us to have an agreement about. Notice I said agreement and not expectation, because expectations are often not communicated. They generally aren't expressed. And just because you expect it doesn't mean the person's going to deliver on it, because you never got an agreement. So agreements require us to be stronger in our word and stronger in our leadership. All right? Anything else I want to say about this? I think that's it. I think you're more than capable of having these carefrontations. But last thing, you want to start talking about the impact and the behavior and not the person. So critique the behavior, critique what you want to see differently, talk about what they did and how you would change it. But you don't need to talk about the person. So that means you don't have to emotionally burden them with, I'm so disappointed, I can't believe you did that, what type of person are you? That's way too personal. And it's not helpful, right? So be mindful of that, because that is not professional self, that's our social self. That's what we do with our friends and our family. We don't do that at work. So I want to make sure that you guys aren't giving people feedback and making it really personal and then calling it service, because that's not service either. All right, if you have any questions, if you want me to dive deeper, if you want me to just elaborate more on this, I'm happy to. DM me, shoot me a note, tell me what you think.